What's up, pals? Today is January 25th, 2019, and in today's video, I'm sharing 5 signs that you are awakening, that you're waking up, that you're becoming more consciously aware. You're expanding your consciousness, things like that. And so all that means to me is that you're really getting in touch with who you are and what you're doing here. And so I'm going to talk about 5 signs for you to know if maybe that's what's happening to you. Number 1, you might find that you're just having an interest or a fascination with things of a spiritual topic, So there's a lot of stuff out there, like maybe you're watching YouTube videos or you're reading blogs or you're just seeing things, like maybe you're interested in Reiki or, meditation or even yoga can be a very spiritual experience. But, you're just kind of in this place of more aware of the spirituality around you, more aware of kind of what's out there in the world, what people are doing, what they're into, maybe even something like shamanism. I actually was just watching videos this morning about shamanism and I was totally fascinated. But just anything that is, of a spiritual nature that you're just really kind of resonating with or you feel drawn or attracted to. Even, things like law of attraction, kind of manifesting a life that you want, creating a life, from your own thoughts and creative power, which we all have. So basically that's the first, one of the first signs that I'm going to throw out there is that you're just finding yourself interested in these topics. So number 2 would be that you're becoming less interested in religion. So say you've, grown up Catholic, Christian, whatever you may have grown up as, in your house, and you're getting to a point in your life where you're like, yeah, that's kind of how I was raised. That's what I know. But I feel like there's something more, And so that's what I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about religion in general. I'm talking about really kind of opening up your mind and your heart to what else could possibly be out there. And I'll give a little bit of an example. So that was probably me, gosh, how many years ago? Maybe 5-6 years ago. I was, really involved with the Christian church, and I just got to a point where I was I feel like there's something more. I really wanted to grow in love, just very simply. And I just didn't really feel like that's what was happening in my life while I was attending church and, being a faithful member and things like that. So, and that's really not to, it's not to knock religion or say that I'm against it. I just know that for me in my own personal journey, I got to a point where I thought, I think that there's more out there. I think that there's more for me to know and understand and experience. And that was a big part of it, was experience. And so around that time, I kind of left the church. And then not too long after that, I actually came out, which was just kind of all was kind of working out for me, to kind of go in this direction of hey, it's time for you to be your authentic self and just let yourself be who you are and, not be ashamed of it, not be embarrassed of it, and not apologize for it. The third sign, and I feel like this comes up for a lot of people, is that you're just not feeling your job anymore. So maybe you're working a certain job or you have a career and it's just not what you want. And you're in a place in your life where you're thinking this isn't really what makes me happy. This is, and you start to think these thoughts of I spend so many hours of my day at this job that I don't really enjoy. And it doesn't even have to be you hate your job. It's just that you necessarily don't love it and it's not fulfilling and you don't enjoy it. And you're getting to a place where you're thinking to yourself, I think there's more out there for me. I think I can try something new, and I think I can try something that I would actually love to do, especially when you know that you're spending most of your time at a job, at a career. You kind of start to get this itch for but what could I do that I would enjoy? That it wouldn't really matter how many hours I spent, because I just love it and it fulfills me and I feel good doing it. And that happened for me probably like 3 years ago. And it wasn't even, I didn't hate my job, and it wasn't a bad place to work. It wasn't anything like that. The people that I worked with were great. But I think one day I just realized, if I really enjoy the people that I work with, but I don't particularly enjoy the work that I do, I feel like there's more for me out there. There's something else for me. I was starting to sense this feeling of, I want to do something that really resonates with me, that makes me feel alive or good, or like I'm really being of service to people. And so I left my job. And I've kind of been on that journey ever since. I mean, I've done a few things in between that time, but I'm still kind of searching. And it's a good thing, because, anytime we're searching and we're like kind of wanting answers about what it is that we want, we get into the question of who we are. And so it just became this whole journey of self-discovery, of like really knowing myself, really getting clear on who I am and what's important to me and what are my values, and really like recreating my life. And so I'm still on that journey, and I think it'll just kind of continue. I feel like every day I'm getting more and more clarity about, okay, what is it that I'm really going to want to do that's going to be a fulfilling career for me? And so, yeah, I think that, if you're in a place where you're like, my work is not fulfilling, my job is not where I want to be, and you're starting to think of, well, what could there be for me? Might be, spiritually awakening. You might be becoming more conscious, So the fourth one, and this kind of ties in with like not feeling your job anymore, is that you're just kind of in this place of, you're starting to ask and wonder, what is my purpose here? What am I doing here? What is it all about? And maybe you've never asked those questions before, or maybe you thought you knew, but now you're asking in a new way, and you're trying to really, come to some clarity about, man, what's it all about? What are we doing here? So if you find yourself just kind of interested, asking questions, or that term is popping up, like your purpose, your mission, your, whatever, those are good signs that you are waking up. So number 5 is it's a little bit difficult. It's that, things are either not working out in your life the way that you thought they would, or things are just completely falling apart. And that's tough, because we are generally, most of us are afraid of change. We don't know what to do when things are not what we thought, or they're not, we don't have our ducks in a row. It gets scary, the idea that we're not in control of our life, or we don't know what's about to happen, or we're not really sure of our next move. And that can be with like multiple areas of your life. It could be your job. It could be a relationship. It could be just anything having to do with breakdown in your life. And so I'll give an example for me. It was early 2016, so almost 3 years ago, and I was in a relationship with my wife. She's now my wife, but at the time we were, dating, and I said, this is not working for me. There is just so much that is not working out for us right now. I think we both had a lot of baggage at the time, just from, previous relationships and stuff. And it was so difficult to be in that relationship. And so I made the decision, I have to walk away. I have to go and figure some things out for myself, because I am, as much as I love you, I am miserable. And sometimes that happens in relationships. Now, for us, it worked out. We ended up spending 7 months apart and then reunited, and things were very different because we both had grown a lot, and we're now married. But during that time, it was really, really difficult, and I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand why it was happening, and I had all these questions. I had so many more questions than answers. But in that time of, just letting it go and saying, this is not working and I just have to let it go, it was in that time that I really, really started to look inward. I started to look to myself and say, okay, like, this is my life and I have to figure out what's going to make me happy. And I can't rely on another person, and I can't just really keep going on the way I was going on. And I started to get just more self-aware, more in tune with me, asking myself questions. Okay, now it's just me. What am I going to do with myself? And that was a really big time of self-discovery and learning me. What are my likes and preferences? What is it that I want? What is really important to me? I spent a lot of time just getting clear about me. And so if you're finding yourself in a position in your life where you're like, things are falling apart and I don't know what to do, as hard as it is initially and as scary as it can be, these are some of the most transforming times of our lives, hands down, because we go to a different place because we're needing answers to questions that are burning within us, because we just want to know, how do I make relationships work? Because they're hard, and 9 times out of 10 you'll realize that, hey, it's about you. Yes, it's about them, but it's also about you. It's always about 2 people in a relationship. And I learned that was very eye-opening for me, because of course I wanted to blame. It's you, get your act together. But not too long into the breakup, I could see, oh, it's me. It is also me. And I could see how she was being a mirror to me of myself. And I just kind of had to be accountable for that. And I had to be responsible for myself. And I had to say, whoa, like, here are some things that I need to deal with and work out for myself. And so that in itself led to this, kind of spiritual journey, spiritual awakening, just really getting conscious about who I am, what I'm doing here, what I want. So those are the 5. And then I actually have one more that's kind of a bonus that I'll throw out. So the bonus is that you might also be getting kind of curious about like psychedelic drugs. And I will give a quick story. So 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago now, I was writing a book, went over to Virginia and met up with my coach who was helping me write the book, and then just another group of women who were also writing books. And my roommate, while I was in Virginia, was really awesome. And she talked about, so many spiritual things, and there was so much stuff I learned just from being her roommate, just from talking to her, just from hearing about her experiences, that I was kind of like blown away. And she talked about doing mushrooms and having this experience where she was doing mushrooms with a friend or a couple of friends. And that while she was on them, she was outside, and she just said, it was like the trees were, they were moving and swaying, and it was like they were alive. It was like they were waving at her. They were, it was like she had this feeling and this connection, like we're all just one, like this really strong feeling of oneness. And I was like, man, that sounds so amazing. And so I've not actually ever done mushrooms or anything like that, but there is a curiosity to like, whoa, I want to experience something like that, because it's an altered state of consciousness. It's your mind is in this altered state. And I feel like there's so much to experience, to learn, And last night I was like binge watching this guy's YouTube channel, and he was talking about his experiences on DMT, which I don't know much about. But I do know that it's a drug that you can take, and you will go somewhere else, and you will experience other beings, and you will all kinds of stuff. And I was like so fascinated by it. I was like, wow. And then he was telling these elaborate stories about what happened, what he encountered. And I'm like, I just fully resonate with him. And that's actually another sign that you're probably on like a spiritual journey, that you're awakening, is that you just believe stuff. Things just really resonate with you, like at a core level, and you're like, oh, wow. And it's not even so much that you're learning something new, as that you're like remembering something, like, whoa, I've always known that. And it just kind of hits you and you just know. So I would explain it as just a knowing, but yeah, you might just find yourself remembering a lot of things that you haven't been conscious of for a long time, that maybe you've forgotten. And so those are the 5, 6.5 signs that I have that you're probably waking up and, you know, you're becoming a more conscious person. And I think it's incredible. I mean, even though there are sometimes struggles and challenges and sometimes you might feel lost, just know that on this journey there is, you know, happiness and peace and joy and just like freeing yourself and releasing yourself from so much baggage and just old beliefs and old mindsets that are keeping you stuck where you are. You know, so if you're one who is like, I know that there's more for me, you're most likely, you know, waking up. And my best advice would be to just follow the intuitions, follow like, you know, your fascinations, what's interesting to you, and just go down the rabbit hole, you know, go down and experience it and check it out, because there's so much out there. There's like, we're just all connected, and I truly believe that. And so I wanted to make this video just to share, like, hey, if you're out there and you're experiencing these things and you're thinking about these things and you're just really, you know, in a place of like, I want something different for my life, I know that there's more. There's a lot more, and all the freedom that you're searching for is out there, you know, but we have to, you know, open ourselves up to it. And that's pretty much my spiel about, you know, being awake, you know, spiritually awakening, spiritually becoming a more conscious person. We all can do it. And I believe that we actually all came here to do it, you know? And so that's all I have for today. Yeah, leave me any questions in the comments if you like, and I will see you on the next video.